What's going on, guys? This is the Edge DFS. We're doing Showdown, Bulls versus Blazers, Tuesday night basketball. Thanks for joining us, guys. We appreciate it. My name is Tyson Smith. I'm joined by Ellie Hernandez. Ellie, what's going on, bro? How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. I know this is way off topic, but I really got to get a better fucking camera. I hate these wide angle lenses. I look like I'm having a stroke. I promise you all, I'm not stroking mid show. It's just like you see it, like the part of my face is droopy, and the shit. Yeah. Anyways,
we got to get you a Mac, bro. That's what, or just get you a fucking webcam. Either way.
Well, I mean, this is a good segue into this. Give us a like and follow so I can earn a Mac. Yeah. And hey, before we get too crazy into this, just in case anybody's playing main slate, to all four of you watching right now, make sure that you adjust your lineups. Paul George is out. He is not playing. Luke Kennard will be starting in his place.
Pretty good value there.
Yeah.
It boosts Kawhi big time. I have Kawhi in cash, so hopefully that works out.
Kawhi over Kyrie in cash. Fucking prayers. That is ballsy, man.
So thanks for joining us, guys. Throw us a like on the way in. Comment. Hit us up in the chat. Let us know what you're excited to see tonight. We appreciate you joining us. So, Ellie, what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about basketball? You want? What are we doing here?
Yeah, let's talk about basketball. Yeah, my medical history is probably not what they're interested in at all.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right. Let's get right into this, guys.
I'm actually kind of excited for this game. Which one was this?
That's when Hood fucking died in the first quarter, I think, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, we can't predict injuries, but it's all good. What's up, Josh? 3 lines, me too. So we got Chicago, a shitload of injuries here. This is the highest total on the day, so it's going to be a very popular game in the main slate, and I think a lot of people are going to gravitate towards playing Showdown as well. So some of the contests are probably going to be slightly bigger than usual, hopefully. Portland is a big favorite, minus 455, win probability of 82%. It's a 233 over-under and minus 9.5 for Portland here. So what jumps out to you here? I know there's a lot of injuries, and we'll get into that in a second. But can this be a close game? Like, are we going to get another blowout here in the NBA? Another blowout?
Look, man, I don't even want to say anything about that. I have no idea. I feel like these are two evenly matched teams. I feel like this should be close. But if Vegas has 9.5 points spread here, I'm going to lean their way. But these COVID times are kind of trying. Chicago doesn't have much of a bench. I mean, we looked at the ownership projections. There was a total of like 18 people, I'm pretty sure, or 18 players in the ownership pool, which is crazy because the rosters are expanded to 15 this season. So, I mean, they barely have enough players to make up one team.
The player pool is interesting for sure, and there's a lot of value. If you played main slate today, you know all the names for Chicago that we can name off. I think the ownership is going to lean heavily towards Chicago on the lower end, and then you're going to get all your popular plays at the top and captain. So let's just move right over into the injuries here. There's a lot to talk about. Luckily, we're not really waiting on any news, thankfully. But the Bulls, Lauri Markkanen, Tomas Satoransky, Chandler Hutchinson, and Ryan, fuck that guy's last name. I'm not going to even try to pronounce that. There's a lot of white dudes.
Archie, oh no, I almost had it. I've never said it out loud.
You almost did. There's a lot of white dudes here. So that with Lauri Markkanen now, that opens it up for Otto Porter Jr. He's been crushing lately with Lauri out. So Patrick Williams ends up in the starting lineup, but we've got Thad Young, who ends up being a little bit of a better play here. So Rodney Hood was officially announced out for the Blazers. Not a huge deal. That kind of spreads out an extra couple, maybe like an extra 8 to 10 minutes around. But anyways, what jumps out to you here besides the fact that the Bulls are fucked?
I mean, what they've been hanging out with Rudy Gobert. Like, I don't either that or they were with the Titans one weekend. So I don't know, man. Look, I think this gives you pretty good insight into what the Bulls are going to do. It's going to be a very tight rotation, so I think you're kind of safe diving or dipping into their bench players here. Where normally I'm kind of scared to go to some of these benches. We talked about it on some of the other showdown slates here. But the usage and the minutes are simply going to be concentrated, right? So Joshua Johnson. Man, I see that and I think Josh Jackson immediately. I think Mighty Ducks and obviously the dude the Suns used to have that's good now that he's not on the Suns. But anyways, I'm with you. Levine and Young, those are great plays, but I think you kind of got to open up your player pool to some of these other guys, right? Otto Porter Jr., Wendell Carter, they're going to be in decent spots. It's not like Portland's known for their defensive prowess, so I think you have the opportunity for boards, especially when you got Dame who is going to shoot 35 times, CJ is going to shoot 30 times, and they're going to miss 40% of the time, 50% of the time. So there's a shitload of boards to eat up. Yeah. So I will get into it, and I think that there's going to be some opportunity to get some exposure to some of these Bulls players that I don't think people are going to really be on simply because the total is leaning so heavily to Portland.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look,
who the fuck is Elijah Hughes? Sorry.
Some context here. Who the fuck is that?
He's on Utah, but they're losing to Brooklyn by 30 points. I'm telling you, dude, you might be fine with Kawhi and Cash because Kyrie's not going to play anymore.
Yeah, he's done for the rest of the day probably. So This particular matchup, the reason why this is the highest total on the slate is the Bulls are first in pace of play. The Blazers are middle of the road at 15th. So this is going to be a pace-up game for the Blazers. They're going to get some more possessions out of them. Both teams can't play defense for shit. Portland's 28th in defense. Bulls 24th in defense. We're going to see a lot of back and forth. We're going to see a lot of scoring, a lot of possessions. Middle of the road in rebounding rate, not really much to mention there. But the interesting thing here is even if there is a blowout on the Bulls side of things, they don't have a lot of players. They just don't have a ton of players. So some of these starters, some of these higher minute guys are just, even if it is a blowout, they're going to have to stick around a little bit. Wouldn't you think here?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to get some run. But, excuse me, defensively, I didn't want to call out Zach LaVine. He actually gets overlooked for his defensive skills fairly consistently simply because he is such a great scorer and a great offensive player. But he is one of the better defending guards in the league. So I think that poses some interesting matchups for either Dame or CJ, whoever he's going to end up guarding. So I think that's something to be mindful of. Granted, I don't know how much it's going to impact us on main slate or showdown because I think you need to have all those guys in. But yeah, man, I think there's going to be a wealth of points to go around from a DFS perspective, and we're just going to have to really clamp down and find the builds that we like that's going to capture all of them.
I think in this particular showdown matchup, there's going to be a lot of room for bench players and unknowns that you can kind of toss in just simply because of the injury status. We see it with the Nets tonight. That's a little bit of a different situation, obviously, but everyone's getting a chance. There's a lot of these players that we weren't very high on. Bruce Brown got the start at the last moment. He's a crush and play here at minimum.
I actually think it's Bryce Brown. It's pronounced Bryce.
It's Bruce, Bruce. Yeah, Bruce Brown Jr. It goes by Bryce Brown.
I'm pretty sure, bro. I was watching a lot of him last season because he was too cheap and I was rotating him into so many lineups.
Why would he go by Bryce Brown? Okay,
bro, I just fucking work here.
What the fuck? All right, let's get to the starters here. I don't think they've officially released anything. Ellie, if you can keep an eye on that for me. No official lineups yet, I don't think. But we'll be live up until lock. So if anything changes, we'll talk about it. But you've got Kobe White, Zach LaVine, Otto Porter Jr., Patrick Williams, and Wendell Carter. Like I said, actually, Patrick Williams and Thad Young are sort of getting this similar minutes. So it's something to keep in mind. Just because you see Thad Young on the bench doesn't mean he's not a good option here. Dame Lillard, CJ McCollum, Derek Jones Jr., Robert Covington, and Yusuf Nurkic. That's the starting lineup there. I don't anticipate anything changing. Obviously, Gary Trent Jr. is back. Rodney Hood is out, so ignore that little graphic there. Harry Giles, which is interesting. I'm not touching him. So who can we touch? We'll talk about the Bulls. Who can we consider from the bench for the Trailblazers here?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously Carmelo's in play. That's not really earth-shattering news. Enes Kanter, he's priced up like he's been playing decent, but he does have a really high upside. He's one of those points per minute guys that comes off the bench and can just absolutely dominate. Right now, I think Gary Trent Jr. is going to be one of my favorite plays. I just think he's priced nicely, and he probably will. Excuse me. I mean, he's going to look at 24, 25 minutes. So I think at that price, you have the opportunity to get some decent points from him. But yeah, I think, Rodney Hood is obviously out. Anthony Simons, he might be a little bit interesting play off the bench. Again, I don't know how much I'm going to be getting to him on this particular slate because Gary Trent is active. And I don't know if Anthony Simons is really a guy that's going to work into that rotation with Gary Trent being there. Trent, he can run the one guard for the fucking Blazers when Dame and CJ are off the court. So, and then again, CJ and Dame are going to get so many minutes that you're talking about like 8 total minutes of them not being on the court. So, I don't think that Simons is necessarily a play that you want to go with. Harry Giles, I don't think he's played since 1993, so that's really out for me. I don't even know if he'll be in the player pool.
He's projected for 1 minute. Why would he
go more than I would have given him?
Even know why he went to this team? You got Nurkic and Kanter. Did they sign Kanter after he went there? Like, why would he go to this team? That doesn't make any fucking sense.
I don't know, man. Honestly, I would spend more time than I'm actually interested in trying to find that answer. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be so underwhelmed by the time I got the information. Just like, I really don't care.
All right, so let's just get right into this, man. Let's get into the breakdown. We're going to talk about our Captain Crunch segment here next. All right, so check out this, Ellie. Give me your first reaction. This is the first time you've seen this. Basically, if you guys haven't checked this out before, this is me crunching out 250 lineups per captain with no randomness, no settings, nothing. I pared down the player pool a little bit so you didn't get any randomness or any random ass players projected for like 2 points. But basically what this is saying is, the high projected points for that person in captain. And then you go down the list with top ceiling and et cetera, et cetera. So what jumps out to you here? I know the other night we had Kelly Oubre who popped when I was looking at that, and that was the main reason why I put him in captain, and ended up being pretty decent for him. So what jumps out here for you?
I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but Zach LaVine at captain looks pretty nice. I mean, he has the highest projected points, and I mean, he has the lowest projected points as well. His ceiling is pretty decent too. I know he's not the 326.6, but these other ceilings are going to be slightly higher because you're going to be able to jam in maybe one other piece that's going to be higher scoring than having Zach LaVine at captain because of his price. And to be honest, I think this is a game that, I'm with you, Josh. You'll see.
Yeah, I agree.
Zach LaVine just looks like he's in a great spot, right? I mean, if you start going through the list of players on the polls, you're not thinking of score, right? Yeah. You're thinking of guy who's going to get some rebounds, guy who's going to get a couple of points. And Kobe White can get there. And all these other guys do have the ability to get there from a scoring perspective. But I think Zach LaVine's obviously the best shooter on the team, and he's going to take a majority of the shots. So I think having him a captain kind of gives you the upside that you need. Outside of that, I think Nurkic is pretty interesting just because I feel like you're getting a lot of salary relief and not getting too crazy. Not a fan of Covington on this slate, but so I think Nurkic is kind of the better middle ground there. But that depends on if he gets into foul trouble or how night like he did the other night.
We just haven't seen Nurkic, go off this year. So he was great in the bubble. He just hasn't really accomplished that so far. He's been getting, around 24, 25 minutes a game on average. He's projected for 27 tonight. So if he can hit above 27, as long as he stays out of foul trouble and, maybe Enes Kanter isn't having the greatest game, there's a possibility that he actually can reach that potential. And that's another thing to talk about, Nurkic versus Cantor in this particular situation. I don't think Cantor is very high owned on the showdown slate. He was getting some consideration for main slate. So that could be a nice pivot. I wouldn't say play Cantor at captain. I'm just saying in the flex, we're probably going to want to set a rule to have Nurkic and Cantor max 1, right? Do you have any problem with that? I know that we're straying off a little bit here, but I wanted to point that out before we get too deep. Are you going to have that rule?
Yeah, I'm not going to be using an optimizer to build tonight, other than what we build on the show. But yeah, I won't put them in the same lineup, especially at their current pricing. If if NS Cantor was priced down to 2,500 like he was in the last slate, then sure, it's viable, but not on this one.
So Kobe White just doesn't appeal to me at captain at all, and in fact, I just don't know if I even love him at that price tag. Just in the flex, he's only $600 cheaper than Levine. Now, can you get Levine and White in the same lineup? Absolutely, but I'd rather get Lillard and McCollum in the same lineup and just hope that this isn't a blowout and then spread out the value on the other side, because I feel like Kobe White has just as good of a chance to get there as Otto Porter or some of these other guys. You know what I'm saying? So, spoiler alert, I just don't love Kobe White tonight. There's an opportunity that he has a 50-point upside. I get it. So it's risky to say fuck Kobe White. But to me, you're going to have to say fuck somebody here. And to me, at that price tag, I'd rather go with him. Any last thoughts or notes to point out here? I mean, Damian Lillard is the most obvious choice. You look at his captain price; he's almost $2,000 more expensive than CJ, and you see the minutes there. When it comes to the rest of his lineup, that's the top amount of minutes in his lineup. So you're punting at one or two positions in the flex. His floor is lower because you're punting there. His ceiling isn't necessarily that high because you're ending up with a lot of low price players trying to fit them in there because of that salary. So to me, Zach LaVine is the perfect mix of salary, mix of ceiling, and mix of projected points. I love Zach LaVine at the captain. Let's just hope. And to be honest, I don't think he's going to get pulled in this game. If we have to, we shouldn't have to worry about that. They don't have enough players unless it's a 40-point game in the third quarter. I think he's going to get his minutes, hopefully, right?
Yeah, I'm with you on this one.
So if you had to rank your favorite captains based off of this and based off of some ownership projections, who are you thinking? I'm going to switch over to my Excel sheet here, so I'm going to exit on my screen capture. But lead us out with your kind of ranking of favorite captains.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite captains are going to be Zach LaVine. And then, honestly, I think it goes CJ McCollum, Damian Lillard, and then I'll go down to a guy like Yusuf Nurkic. I definitely think he has some upside, but this is very similar to the game last night, right? I mean, you have some guys that have the potential to break the slate with their ceiling, and there's a reason why they're chalky. So I think you have to be very careful about trying to get too crazy on this slate at captain.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. There's the ceiling for Lillard, McCollum, and Levine that's the most ideal. And maybe you throw in a little bit of Nurkic. And if you're getting really risky with it, maybe one Kobe White. I'm just not going to have any Kobe White at captain, and I'm not going to have a ton of him at flex. So Damian Lillard is 11.4K, CJ McCollum 10.2K. You got Zach LaVine at 9.6 and Kobe White at 9. Those are your sort of top tier guys. Otto Porter is at 8,200, which is interesting here. Nurkic at only 7,400. So that's kind of our top tier of players there. Do you have to have Dame and LaVine in every lineup? Who are you getting more of, Dame or CJ tonight?
Probably end up with more of CJ, but honestly, I'm not going too crazy in my overall entries, so I'm probably going to have both of them.
Yeah,
they're both putting up too ridiculous of an output to really fade either one of them. I think you're better off kind of going towards, fading a guy like Kobe White or even one of these guys at 7,000, 8,000 price tags so that you can get all three of them in. I feel like they're such an important part of this slate that I don't know if you're going to be able to get the value that gets you the ability to make up for the point loss there. So personally, I'm going to have Zach LaVine the captain. I'm going to go CJ Dame in both lineups and then just fucking figure it out from there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you look at Dame's fantasy points per minute, they're actually exactly the same as Zach LaVine, and they're both projected to have this around the same minutes. Now, the ceiling here between the two, let's check that out. Actually, look at that, almost exactly similar ceiling. LaVine has a little bit lower of a floor. For whatever reason, it's just a matchup thing. Dame Lillard has a 6-point higher projection here. But if you look at the overall numbers between Lillard and LaVine, I think we all know that Lillard is an elite player. I wouldn't call Zach LaVine elite. He's a very good player. But we all know Lillard can go off for a shitload of points. It's just a matter of when. We know it's going to happen one of these days. We know it's just like the Steph Curry thing the other night. When is it going to happen? Can it be tonight? But based off of the beginning of this season, I think both of these guys are very similar when it comes to the numbers, and Zach LaVine is way cheaper. So I'd rather get LaVine at captain and sprinkle some other players in here. So when it comes to the middle range, we've got Wendell Carter Jr. at 7K. We got Robert Covington 6,200, Enes Kanter 6,600, Thad Young, and then you got Derek Jones Jr. at 4,800 and Carmelo Anthony at 5,200. That's a sort of our middle range here. Who's your favorite guy in this middle range? It looks like Covington is projected for 33 minutes and Derek Jones Jr. is projected for 32. Who's your favorite guy here?
Honestly, I'm not entirely sure yet. I think I like Thad Young. I know he's a little bit out of the price range here, but he's going to get the minutes. He's going to get the usage. Derek Jones Jr. I'm pretty sure he was in the optimal in one of the last Blazers showdowns. But the thing with him is he's so defensive dependent that if he's not getting those stocks, those steals and blocks, he may not get there for you. So I'm not huge on him in this particular matchup. But at 32 minutes, it's not awful. I think Patrick Williams is probably the most interesting. What's his price over there? I'm sorry.
He's at 4,400, and he's projected for 26 minutes, which is exactly the same as Thad Young. And their fantasy points per minute is similar. Their usage is similar, right around 17 to 18%. So these guys are both great plays. Patrick Williams is getting the start, but they're right around the same ownership as well. So this is obviously I wouldn't play both these guys in the same lineup. That's easy to say. But if you're just going to have to spread yourself out. If you're doing a handful of lineups, I personally like Thad Young more, but it's a coin flip between these two guys.
Yeah, honestly, we'll see kind of what direction I tend to lean when we start building here. But Patrick Williams being lower ownership and $1,200 left, it feels like it's going to give me an easier way to having the three guys that I want in all my lineups. So yeah. I think I'm going to tend to lean there. But the interesting thing to point out here is Thad Young he's not going to start. He's going to come off the bench, and he's kind of one of those guys who's better than twos, but not necessarily good enough to consistently be in the starting rotation. So if he's going to get 20, 24, 25 minutes against a bunch of fucking second stringers on the shitty Portland Trailblazers, he does have a lot of upside. So I think those are probably the two pieces that I'll be building around. I just, like you said, I won't have them in the same lineup. But, some of these cheaper guys, they're pretty interesting. I like Gary Trent Jr. too tonight at 4,200. It's only 18 projected minutes, but
points per minute is up there. I mean, you're looking at 18 minutes. Sorry to interrupt you, dude, but 18 minutes versus Derek Jones Jr. his 32 minutes, but his fantasy points per minute is way higher, and his usage is a little bit higher too.
And if he's really coming in at 3% ownership, just fucking put him in one goddamn lineup, and you're good.
Yeah, exactly. So on the lower end here, that brings up a good point here. So we got Daniel Gafford at 3,600, Garrett Temple. At 3K, Gary Trent 4,200, Denzel Valentine, and Anthony Simons here. I don't think I'm going to consider Simons. Maybe Denzel Valentine at 17 minutes and he's coming in right around 1.07 fantasy points per minute. His usage is lower, middle of the road low. Can we consider Valentine as like our lowest player we're going to consider, or would you probably say maybe Garrett Temple at 25 minutes, even though his fantasy points per minute is very low?
Yeah, no, I like Denzel Valentine. Especially if we don't think this game is going to stay close. Look, I mean, if they're not very deep at the guard position right now, they're going to have to play some Denzel Valentine off the bench, regardless of whether or not they want to. He's going to have point guard and shooting guard minutes. Excuse me. So he's going to have ball handling opportunity. That usually is going to lead to assists, right? In scoring. So I think he's definitely in play, especially at 17 projected minutes in his price tag. So I'll be looking at him. I think he's more of a deep GPP flyer. What do we have for ownership? I'm sorry, let me check.
I'll move over. Sorry. For who now?
Denzel, 20%.
It's about 20%. So so it's a good option. His fantasy points per minute are there. But one thing I wanted to point out is if you look at Gary Trent Jr., I think he's going to be higher owned than this. I don't think there's any doubt that he'll be much higher owned. I know that there's better options around him from a median projection aspect, but he's projected for 18 minutes. Look at his standard deviation and look at his ceiling. There's no one near his ceiling, even up into the Thad Young area. Derek Jones Jr. is the other guy that kind of has that ceiling. So he's projected for 16 fantasy points. His GPP target is 31, and his ceiling is at 44. So to me, I'm actually very comfortable with him hitting that 30-plus fantasy points at more than some of these other guys. Like, what do you think about that? I know you mentioned Gary Trent Jr. before. We've seen him have some good moments last year. Can he potentially get there today? And at that ownership, I know it's going to go up, but like I might lock him in at that ownership because if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. But the leverage is so amazing.
Yeah, man, I like Gary Trent Jr. I don't think he's a terrible play, and he is the guy who kind of leads the two rotation, right? Someone correct me if I'm wrong about that, but I feel like I see him a lot coming off the bench and kind of being the leader of the backups for Portland. So
let's look at this, dude. Let's check this out. So let me stop my screen share here. Let me go over to Chrome. We're going to look at these rotations while you bring it up. So Gary Trent Jr., when was this? This is against the Golden State Warriors when they got blown out. So yes, I understand that the minutes are going to be a little bit different, but we're talking in the first two quarters here. If you look at Gary Trent, he gets a nice big stretch there in the first quarter into the middle of the second quarter. And that's basically who's he taking over for there? At first it's McCollum, it looks like. And then he stays in for Dame. So he's coming in for McCollum, at least in this particular game. He came in for McCollum and was sort of came in for Dame at that point, right? Is that what you're seeing?
No, it looks like he's covering for Covington in because Covington is he's a boards and defense guy, right? So he'll be able to get you a couple shots, but when they're in a game and they're trying to make up points, right? Gary Trent Jr. is one of their shooters. He's going to get involved. I mean, look, he's closing out the fourth quarter with Carmelo. I mean, obviously Covington came in here at the end to
that was a blowout. This is a blowout though, so you got to keep that in mind.
Well, yeah, but this is great to talk about here because, look, C.J. McCollum played the entire fucking fourth quarter. Damian Lillard played the entire third and still closed out the fourth in a blowout. Yeah, so I think those are things to be very mindful of. So if we're looking at a blowout and Portland trying to score, then, Gary Trent Jr. is going to get some run. But even if they're ahead, I think
he's here is they were getting blown out.
Yeah, no, I think even if they're ahead, I think Gary Trent Jr. is going to get some run. The only person that's going to really get a huge boost if the Portland Trailblazers blow the Chicago Bulls is I think a guy like Anthony Simons is going to come in and get a lot of fucking random ass run. But other than that, I think Gary Trent Jr. is fine.
We shouldn't recommend Simons or somebody's going to be pissed at us. We got to be careful.
Yeah, fuck it. I mean, we had Simons the the day before he went off, and we had Hood the day after he went off. So, with 9 points.
So let's see. Do you want to move into our fades here?
Let's do it.
All right, let me share my screen here.
What's your name? Tony! Fuck you, Tony!
Robert Covington, Ellie, tell me about it.
Yeah, I really don't give a shit about him in tonight's slate. I think he's more of a boards and defense type of guy, which I think he's going to have the opportunity to get some decent points from rebounds and steals or whatever. But you have such tight rotation at power forward and center on the Chicago Bulls that I think you're going to have better opportunity to get those points on that side of the ball. So if I am going to go that route, I think I'm going to end up with like Wendell Carter, Otto Porter Jr., even Thad Young over Robert Covington. And he's in that awkward price range. I'm just not a huge fan of it.
Yeah, I agree. And the ownership is up because he's a little bit more popular on main slate. So for me, Kobe White, I know this is risky, but just, this kind of reminds me of last night, the Buddy Hield fade. It just didn't seem like the pricing just didn't work out. I know that Kobe White is going to get a lot of usage. There's just not a lot of people to touch the ball for this particular team, but the price, he's only $600 cheaper than Levine, and I'd rather go with McCollum and Dame, and then figure out the rest from there. So for me, Kobe White is just a pricing thing. I'm not saying that if you have 20 plus lineups, you should have 0 of him. You should mix him in a little bit. But for me personally, if I'm building 3 lineups, hand building 3 lineups tonight because we're doing a show, I'm going to have 0 Kobe White, and I'm fully comfortable with that. All right, let's move on. Let's move over to captain here. Switch this.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
This is our crown their ass segment, and pretty straightforward here. Our favorite captain for tonight is Zach LaVine. This isn't some crazy pick here. He's going to be the second. I'm assuming he's going to be the second highest owned captain, maybe right around third if McCollum picks up some ownership last minute. But Ellie, tell me about this. I mean, is there anything really to even talk about here?
No, I really don't think there is. We went into it a lot when we were talking about who our top 3 guys. I think he's priced better than everybody else, and I'm surprised that he isn't the top owned captain on the slate just because of his pricing. And yeah, look, I mean, he could easily go out and not have one of those nights. But at the same time, I think the volume is going to come from him. I mean, his last 5 games, 59.5 fantasy points. Yeah, 28.5, 41, 46.25, 52.75. And then the first 2 of the season weren't great. But, I mean, he's the guy. He's the scorer. He's the guy who's going to get all the run. I don't think that there's much to it other than that.
32% usage, highest in this game, and that's with more players out.
Is there a higher usage on really any team? Like, he's a shooting guard, isn't he? He's listed at shooting guard. So yeah. I don't think anybody has a higher usage other than maybe Nikola Jokic, and even then, I have no idea.
So we've got a comment on Twitter on my Twitter Periscope feed here. Alexander Gould. I don't know if he's fucking with us or not, but putting $500 on your lineup tonight better be a winner. All right. Well, we're gonna go into the future and make sure that we have everything correct. I'll pull out my sports almanac and make sure we're good.
Yeah, I hope you're doing a $500 double up. Yes. Look, guys. I mean, if you're like us and you're consistently you're building a bankroll, right? I'm not dropping $30,000 a day like the Sharks are, right? I'm having fun playing DFS and making a little bit of money while I'm doing it. The best way to do that is playing these 3- and 5-man contests. You don't have to be fucking sharp as hell. You can make a mistake here and there, but you can still end up winning and build a consistent bankroll so that you're not depositing every other day. So,
exactly. Those 3- and 5-man contests, I'm loving those lately. Those are really awesome. Single entry double ups. If you're trying to build your bankroll, that's a good option. If you got $20 in your account, don't go entering a $10, $100,000, GPP.
Don't enter the millie. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't see any. Let me refresh our lineups here. So it does look like the Bulls have released their lineup: Kobe White, Levine, Porter, Williams, Carter. That's exactly what we expected. So no surprises there. Haven't gotten anything from the Trailblazers yet, but I'm not too worried about that. Ellie, do you want to jump into a lineup build? And chat, hit us up. Let us know what you guys want to see when it comes to captains. If there's any particular build that you want to see, let us know, and we're going to build that right now. So Ellie, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'm going to switch over to yours whenever you're ready. All right, so let's just go Dame to start.
Let's do it this way.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, just hit on McCollum's minimum, hit 0.
Oh, yeah.
Minimum exposure? Yeah, that'll get around that.
I
So
didn't even read the fucking note.
This is the opto. Garrett Temple and Denzel Valentine. Wow, so they're going real 2 punts under 3K or 3K or less, and then they're going heavy with Nurkic, Levine, and McCollum. I get it. And this is what I'm talking about. When we saw those lineups, this is exactly the roster construction you're going to be dealing with Lillard. I don't know that I'm comfortable. I don't know that I'm necessarily comfortable with that. I'd rather go away from Nurkic and go with Cantor or someone on the Bulls and then go with Gary Trent Jr., wouldn't you?
Yeah, actually, well, I didn't mean to take him out, so let's optimize that again and just leave him there. All right, so instead of these two,
that's going to be the most that lineup right there will be the most popular lineup.
Right.
Like everyone's going to play that lineup. So if you get first place, good luck actually profiting.
So look, this isn't terrible if you're comfortable running Garrett Temple, right? You got Otto Porter, Garrett. Oh shit, that didn't work. Okay, too high. So let's come down a little bit.
I just don't love Garrett Temple. I know he's at 3K, but there's other guys I like more.
Yeah,
I like Gafford more.
Preston Williams, what does that leave us? 6,300. Yeah, Gafford is actually not a bad play. We can try with him in a second. 6,300. So you can go Covington. You can go Thad Young, but I don't know if you want to have Thad and Preston Williams in the same lineup.
Yeah, you don't. You don't.
So, yeah, I mean, you have a little bit more restrictions here building with Damian Lillard at captain, to be honest with you.
Which is another reason why I think that going with Levine or McCollum is just a better option overall. I'm not, I think you should have Lillard in your flex in every single lineup. That's just an easy way to build.
So let's do that. Let's throw in CJ at captain. And obviously
Lillard.
Damon, Levine are guys there. You want to go Denzel again?
Yeah, I want to get another Gary Trent Jr. There's a lot of juniors in this game.
That's fine too. Actually, I mean, we can just throw them in and see what we get.
Yeah, I like Gary Trent Jr. on the low end.
7,100
gets us Wendell Carter Jr.
I mean, this isn't awful.
I don't hate that. Wendell Carter Jr. projected for around 27 fantasy points. I mean, Gafford, Gafford isn't I wouldn't put Gafford and Carter in the same lineup, but Gafford is also a good option, and he's like half the price almost too. So just something to think about.
So let's throw it in there. So Daniel Gafford. I mean, this isn't terrible either. CJ, Dame, Levine, Denzel Valentine, Daniel Gafford, and Yusuf Nurkic.
Yeah. I don't love I personally not going to enter this one because of McCollum and the captain. I just don't love it. But this is a decent lineup. That was at 215 projected. 215. That's with CJ. Let's do our Zach Levine one now.
I do want to do one more with this.
Yeah.
Because I'm building for cash real quick. So
there you go.
Let's see. I do want to throw in Preston Williams. Oh, Preston Williams is a fucking wide receiver for the Dolphins. God damn it. Or is that PJ Williams? God, man.
No, Preston, one of those fucking guys.
And then, yeah, I like Valentine for this shit too. It's cash, right? So this leaves us with Cantor. What does that put us at? 212.
212,
What did we have on the last one?
215.
Okay. That's my cash lineup. I'm okay with this.
Yeah. Are you actually playing cash, or are you just going to do like a 5-man? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. 5-man.
Okay. So chat, hit us up. What kind of captain you want to see? Also, what kind of tournaments are you guys doing? Single entry tonight? What are you guys playing tonight? I personally I've got a single entry, and then I've got 2 largish field tournaments. So Levine, yeah, there we go.
I just want to see how difficult this is to build.
With Kobe, yeah, exactly.
Obviously, you have to go Denzel. 2,600. Yeah, you can't really do
You
it.
can't. It's just too hard. You got to choose between Kobe White or McCollum, and I'd rather go McCollum every day of the week.
That's not a tough decision for me.
So put in Gary Trent Jr. here.
Let's go. Do we want Denzel still?
Well, let me pull up my sheet here. Let's see. Let's just see who's the best value here. I wouldn't mind doing Cantor.
You want to run Cantor? Okay. That leaves us 3,200.
That gets us Garrett Temple, but I don't. It's not a bad option. He's getting a lot of minutes. Or you can go Denzel Valentine, which is interesting. Who do you like more? I mean, Temple half the fantasy points per minute of Valentine, but he's getting 8 more minutes. But I'm not worried about Valentine necessarily, because you're talking about maybe some garbage time blowout minutes potentially. So if anything, I'm higher on Valentine just because of his fantasy points per minute, and he's a shooting guard.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I think, honestly, I like Cancer, but I think, what about something like this? Levine, Lillard, CJ.
Yeah. Here, dude. Exit out of just straight up hit optimize, like only have Levine and captain, and see what happens. I want to see what our baseline is. So that's what, 216?
The lineup we just built.
That's lineup we just built. So that's kind of a sign. If I'm doing a single entry, this is not bad. This is not a bad lineup. How many? What is this? A 3-3?
Yeah.
All right. McCollum, Nurkic, Gafford, and who's our last guy there? Who do we have there? Temple. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. All right, I got 2 more tournament lineups to build here.
Yeah, me too.
All right. So with Levine, let's do another variation on this. So let's just fade McCollum and go with Kobe White instead. And see what that does for us. See if we may actually end up being able to get a better lineup. I mean, I'm not comfortable with it, but like from a projection side of things, we may be able to get another extra fantasy point or 2 out of this.
Levine, Valentine, Mello, Nurkic, White, Lillard.
So lock in Kobe White and Lillard, and then optimize and see what happens. 15 minutes to lock, guys. We got a little bit of time. Let me actually refresh. Let me see if we have official lineups for Portland. Looks like we do. No news there. It's Lillard, McCollum, Jones Jr., Covington, Nurkic. So optimize that and see what happens. So you're 5 fantasy points less than that other lineup we built with CJ.
I don't understand why they haven't updated their projections here, though.
Do you have to refresh?
Yeah, I just did.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna do something real quick.
So this is just my point here. This is why I'm fading Kobe White. That was a full 5 fantasy points less than the McCollum lineup. You're saving a little bit of salary, but it's not worth it.
What do you have trying that?
Minutes wise?
Yeah.
Let's see. Gary Trent, he's at right around 18 minutes.
See, that doesn't make sense because the 10 minutes that are coming from.
Hey, Philip, what's up? Yeah, I just saw you commented on Twitter. Good luck, man. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it.
All right, so let's try this again. Yeah, so we got to be careful about how much we give to Simons. So the problem is RG hasn't updated this, but if we're projecting him to get more than 10 minutes, it looks like he's close to an optimal play with the guys. Yeah, because remember, I mean, the projections haven't been updated since Gary Trent, or what the fuck is his name? Rod Hood has been ruled out.
Well, on your end, it hasn't. I think I have an updated projection here.
What do you have for Simons?
His minutes?
Yeah.
Let me check. Simons projected minutes 13.
Yeah, dude, he's
so he might pop here. His value is at 5.5, and Garrett Temple's is at 5.8. But you're talking about a $1,200 difference.
I mean, yeah, if I don't want to be that guy that's on Simons again because Rod Hood is out, I really don't think it's that big of a boost. But at 13 minutes and $1,800, I mean, it's not that big of a fucking deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody gets in foul trouble, immediately boosted. You know.
Let's try this shit again. Oh,
and
so
we got Gary Trent at 24. That looks pretty good. Gary Trent at so look, dude, Gary Trent's a lock for me. I don't care what you guys want to do. It's risky. I get it. His projected minutes were 18 when we were talking about it earlier. Now he's at potentially 24 minutes.
Well, this is what I did. I manually boosted him.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you have on FC? Is that 24 too?
For minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 24.5 is what they're projecting him at, and he's friggin' like less than 6% owned.
Bro,
I'm locking Gary Trent into every fucking lineup.
I must be getting better at allocating minutes. Then it's a science. Learning that shit. Dude.
Well, it's an art form too. It's legit an art form. Okay, so Gary Trent Jr.
I'm entering this. So 1 second. I actually really fucking like this lineup.
Yeah.
So what if we do this? Like, I actually like this same one.
Hang on. Who did you have there?
Nurkic. Or no, God damn it, Valentine. Sorry.
Yeah, Gary Trent. I'm fully comfortable with him. Call him Lillard. Yeah, Nurkic too. So Valentine or Simons, I guess, is the question here. We've got Simons at 13 minutes and we got Valentine at 17 minutes. Fantasy points per minute, Valentine has the edge, and he's $600 more. But the value, actually, the value is aiming towards Valentine. So I'm gonna go with Valentine. It actually maxes out the salary, which is a little interesting.
Matters for NBA. We got to do some research on that one.
I mean, in large field, I think it does slightly matter, especially with the second highest owned captain. I think it'll matter, but I hear you. I don't think it matters nearly as much as it does in NFL.
So what we got, EK?
So you're going to go Simons, Trent, McCollum, Lillard, Levine at captain. You're looking for 8K here.
See, that's not going to work, though.
Nurkic, it's not worth it.
Yeah, if we're going to
go, dude. It's either so you got Simons and Valentine. And shit.
See, now
okay.
That's interesting.
All right, I'm entering that one too. So I've got all my lineups are with Zach Levine at captain because it just makes sense. It just makes sense. So Simons, That's risky. I mean, Simons and Valentine in the same lineup. You know, I'm not entering this in cash or single entry, but it's worth it for a tournament.
Yeah, this is going into a fucking deep GPP for me. I probably should just withdraw the entry, but
No, I like it, dude.
Hey, look, my single entry bullshit's fucking cashing. I swear, I'm gonna make money on this shit with a bunch of fucking snowflakes. But granted, that's the one good thing about a 5-game slate, man, is you're essentially playing cash in all your lineups. It doesn't matter if it's GPP.
Well, in 5-game slates, the correlation matters so much more. If you stack games, it matters so much more.
So, real quick, do we have any more lineups that anybody wants us to build on this?
Let's build a Nurkic captain, because I think Nurkic at captain is probably the third or fourth highest or most popular. Well, let's just like obviously Levine is just makes sense to me, but let's just feel it out and see if we can get any Nurkic love here.
So with Nurkic, the optimals Denzel, Melo, Levine, CJ, and Lillard. That's
213. That's 3 points off of what we built with Levine.
That's actually
close enough. It's not bad, and that's a good lineup. I mean, we're really only punting on. I mean, I'm comfortable with Carmelo Anthony to hit 25 fantasy points, unless he gets in foul trouble or he just his. I mean, he's very shot dependent, obviously, but we're only punting on one guy at Valentine, and he's going to get the minutes. So,
what happens if we just do this?
Trent, put in fucking Gary Trent, dude. He should be in every fucking lineup.
So we'll do that. Gary Trent. What does that leave us with? Valentine, probably. Actually, is that Gafford? Oh, god damn it. So yeah, you got Garrett Temple or Denzel Valentine with this lineup. Well, 213, it's damn near the same fucking output that we had prior, right? This is a 4-2 though, so I mean you are gonna have a little bit of negative correlation. But I'm not sweating it on this one.
I'm gonna enter. Hang on a second. Let me look at this lineup. No, I want Nurkic. I don't know. Let's build another Dame captain. Now with this minutes update, we can be comfortable with Gary Trent and maybe Simons or Valentine. So McCollum, Levine. I mean, we haven't really gotten any Otto Porter Jr., which Otto Porter Jr. with Markkanen out has been averaging 36 fantasy points. With him in, he's been only getting 22. So I don't know if we can get Otto Porter, but we should try to put him in one of these lineups. Porter Jr., Gary Trent. No, you can't do that. My wife chiming in. Holly, hello. Thanks for watching. Make sure you throw us a like. What do you want for dinner tonight, babe? 5 minutes to lock, guys. Get any of your last minute shit in. Porter. Okay, so instead of Porter, go with Gary Trent, and then see what that does for you. See if you can get optimized and see what happens if you without Simons. Oh, Thad Young and Temple.
You know what? I don't have Thad Young.
Yeah, I'm gonna enter a Thad Young lineup here.
Let's see.
Garrett Temple, or you can go here. Let's compare this, or you can go Valentine. We've had this conversation a couple times.
I think personally, I'm gonna lead towards Valentine.
Yeah, me too. Although Temple, let me see. Temple projected for 26 minutes, Valentine for 17, but Valentine makes up for it with the fantasy points per minute and his usage. Not too much. They're right around the same usage, but the fantasy points per minute is there. Who are you going to go with?
Valentine.
All right, Actually, I'm gonna go with Temple because I have Valentine in some other lineups. Actually, no, fuck that. I'm going with Valentine. Just go all in. Less shit to keep track of.
I honestly just wish they would end everything right now.
Wendell Carter captain thoughts. I got in here late, just throw some shit together. Probably fucked. You're probably doing better than us, bro. It's all good. Wendell Carter captain. Let's do it, bro.
Cool.
Let's try it.
I'm all for it. And you know what? Just out of solidarity, I will submit this one with you.
I'm doing it too.
I actually don't mind it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, let me see if there's any contests open. We got 3 minutes, guys. Let's enter this. Don't mortgage your home, but dollar here, dollar there.
There's a 25-cent contest, so
yeah.
All right, so if we're doing this shit, no, we fucking want Dame, we want CJ, we want Zach, and obviously we don't want Kobe White. All right, so
faded Lillard, man, you are ballsy.
I don't look.
Showdown. Anything can happen. I don't hate it. I just don't want to do it. I'm not going to tell you not to do that. It's very interesting. McCollum could absolutely go off.
So I'm going to submit this.
Hang on a second. Okay, we have 3 minutes. Wendell Carter, Lil, Levine, Valentine, and Anthony. Huh, interesting.
And then I think
here, optimize with him at captain and see what happens.
Thad
and Valentine. Is that a 3-3? That's a 4-2. Interesting.
So what about this?
Yeah, I hear you. That's important. We got the beer in the fridge. We're good.
6,500 give us. Covington.
Can we? Okay, look. Hear me out here. Can we choose to fade McCollum in this particular or Dame? Either one. Can we choose to fade one of these guys? And I want to get Gary Trent in, man. So anybody just joining us, we like Gary Trent a lot on the low end. I mean, look, Daniel Jones or freaking is it Daniel Jones? Why am I blanking on his front?
Daniel Gafford?
Derek Jones.
Bro, Daniel Jones plays for the fucking Giants.
I know. Derek Jones Jr., we haven't really fucked with him that much, but
here you go.
Get Derek Jones Jr. in here.
I really do have to submit one more lineup. Hold on, guys.
Oh shit! I got 1 more minute. Oh shit! Hang on, that's not good. Gary Trent. The countdown is on. Gary Trent and who else?
Oh, I guess
Kobe White.
2-4.
Right, looks like I'm gonna get some Kobe White. 1 minute, guys. Get it in. Get it in. Okay, what? So Ellie, optimize with Wendell Carter and see what our top projected points is.
208.
208. Now build this lineup from A-Town down. McCollum, Levine, Nurkic, Valentine.
All right. McCollum, Levine.
We are at lock, guys.
And who else?
9,900. Kobe White or Otto Porter.
I mean,
just hit optimize without Kobe White in. Let's see what happens.
Oh, bro, I thought you were talking shit. Like I thought you were making a fucking Lil Jon and Usher reference when you said A-Town down.
No,
I'm looking at the chat right now.
And White.
Okay. I mean, that was the optimal 200.
200. So we're 800. We're 8 off, but it doesn't. We're playing. We're playing tournaments. We're thinking about ceiling here. That's what we care about.
Right. Look here. So what? It was 209 was the
208. Wendell Carter Jr.
All right. So 208.
I'm gonna start looking up ownership here.
You're looking at just under 10% difference between those two outputs. So I think you're fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't add up, right? Anyways, yeah, you're probably closer to about 5% variance off the optimal lineup. And sorry, I've been drinking and working all day, so if my math isn't peace up, A-Town down. Fuck yeah, bro. Fuck yeah. All right.
All right. So Zach LaVine, we're at lock, guys. So let's talk about ownership here. So Zach LaVine is 76% total owned, 21%. This is the largest field that I'm in, so I'm just basing off of that. Let us know if you guys have anything different if you're in bigger tournaments. This particular tournament I'm in is not huge. It's like about 3,500 people. Actually, here, I have a 14,000 entry one. I'll do that one. So Zach LaVine is 21% in the captain, 78 overall. Dame Lillard, 81% overall and 21%. Wow. So if I would have known that LaVine and Lillard were the same, I would have went heavy on Lillard. Or heavier. I still like our LaVine lineups. I just didn't figure that they would be equal. McCollum is actually the highest owned captain.
Look, guys, first of all, I want to point something out. Somebody in my contest has Anthony Simons at fucking captain.
Okay.
Yeah, which is dumb as shit. But he's only 10% owned, man. So, like, look, if you guys are getting crazy and running one of these lineups like that, sometimes you don't have to do that much to get different. A 7% or 9% owned Anthony Simons sometimes isn't enough to get just different enough that you can take it down.
Yeah. And then if you have another guy under 20%, you may actually end up being non-duped, which we want to focus on.
So
who else? What other ownership can you see here?
All right, let me see. Let me pull up my big entry. Let me find it.
So Covington looks to be, oh my God, wow, 21% owned. That's interesting. That's way too low for him. Kobe White is 31%, and he's 5% in the captain. Thad Young is 17.8%, and he's basically unowned in the captain. Let's look at Gary Trent here, 22%. So like I figured we would, be a little bit higher on that. Evan, yeah, we're going to be back on it tomorrow. Thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate it. Let us know how you do.
Bro, Kobe White's only 36% owned.
It's pretty low. I think everyone kind of, I mean, maybe what my opinion was just sort of mirrored from the rest of the field.
I'm going to show you guys a lineup I hand built here. I'm pretty sure we did it a second ago, but I just want to double check projection.
So tomorrow we got the Clippers versus the Warriors.
Oh, that's exciting.
At 10 Eastern. So we're going to do that. We'll probably go live around like 9:15 Eastern. Yep. So stay tuned for that. This weekend, if you guys are into NFL Showdown, that's our real bread and butter. I mean, we love NBA, but like NFL Showdown's our thing. This weekend we have 6 games. We're going live for every single game, taking you up until lock. So you won $100K. Damn, man. You should be telling us how to play it this way.
Yeah. Was that on Showdown or what was it?
Main Slate or Showdown?
Oh shit.
Oh Jesus, you're gonna blow up the whole fucking world. Oh jeez. So yeah, hit us, stay tuned this weekend for some NFL Showdown. 6 shows. So Ellie, what do you got here? Did you just build this, you said?
Oh, last time you stacked the Bulls, you won $100K. Yeah, no, this is one that I entered into a dollar that I built. Oh, Hawks versus. I think was that last year? Was that last season? I feel like that was last season. Fucking Trey and Zach LaVine just each went off. They each had like 95 fantasy points.
It's funny. You get the comments before I do. I don't even see the comment yet. Did he comment yet?
I'm watching on my phone when I'm doing on this because I don't have multiple screens.
Oh, that makes sense. 4 overtimes. All right. Damn.
Jesus, 442.
Jiminy Christmas.
But right, no, this is the lineup that I got going in $1 20 max. Figured I'd say fuck it. I just wanted to see what the projection was, and 211 doesn't seem too bad considering Kobe White's 30% and Simons is 9% in that contest.
This dude scored 442.75 fantasy points. That's a lot. I think that'll win you something.
It should. If it doesn't, like, you need to fucking yell at DraftKings or.
All right, Ellie, is this going to be a blowout? Can this game just please stay close, please?
I think the game stays close. I mean, I don't think either team is very good right now, so I think they're just going to go and fucking. This is going to be a shooters game, bro. Shooters shoot.
I'm not going to ask you to predict the final score here, but over or under on 233 total?
Over.
I'm going to say 240 total here. Who's the highest scoring real points player in this game?
Zach LaVine.
Yeah, I feel you. Paid your house off. Hell yeah, man. That's amazing. That's why we do this here. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate all the support. We appreciate the likes, the comments. We're going to be back tomorrow. What did I say? 6:15. Oh, that's Pacific. Yeah, God, I'm in Los Angeles. It's fucking still weird. 9:15 Eastern. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Ellie, you got anything else to say before we send it off?
No, but A-Town down. If you need a cameo appearance to talk about that win, just let us know. Maybe we can get you on.
Yep. All right. We'll see you guys later. Thanks a lot.